Friends, let's take a look at our pal, good old Tezos. Why is this not fitting in? Did I draw that on log at the time? Was it log that I drew it in on? No, maybe. Just make this fit in here just real quick then, actually, before we get started on the Bitcoin pricing. So put that down a bit. Don't know what was going on there. But but anyway, so let's bring this up and make it full screen actually, so we can look at this a bit better. What is going on here? We broke it. We touched it here. We touched it here. Touched it in and around about there. Let's just sort of rejig that again slightly. You know, it doesn't work perfectly, but whatever. And the question marks do start arising. We've got this level drawn in here quite clearly, as you can see on the 24-hour chart. There's only one real horizontal line that we're looking at in the meantime at the minute, in terms of you know, like we really want to see it turn around here at the 6,000 at this 2,625 area. Of course, there's the 100% retrace that we know about. You know, that's there on the charts. It's quite visible. I'll just drag this over to the other side, in fact, you know, so that you can see the lines a bit better. But we, you know, there, this line, don't want to see it coming down for a 100% retrace. We don't want to have to go down there and have some sort of heinous 1.618. We don't want to see that at all. We want to see the prices turn around here, but this is versus the Bitcoin prices. And of course, Bitcoin's gone through some fundamental changes recently, and as a result of that, then, you know, we have had volatility in the Bitcoin pricing world, and that bleeds over into the sort of this. And if we just take a quick look here in terms of the 5.8% drop down in price, but it's only a 1% drop down in price today versus the dollars. So, you know, there's more dynamics to this than meet the eye initially. Certainly going all the way down there to forming this bottom again takes away all of the glean off of any idea of a cup with handle. Certainly in terms of this, but you are somewhat at the mercy of the Bitcoin prices themselves during this period of volatility. We've gone past the 786. You know, if we stick on here, the what is it? 886? Is it 886? Have I got 886 on here? No. Just borrow that 0.886. I think that's what it is. Fibonacci number. Where's that coming in at? Here, so, you know, could we see the prices turn around at a very deep 886 retrace? Maybe there's some potential harmonic pattern at play here. Not really measured anything out for that in a wee while. I don't really. The thing with harmonics is that I just don't bother allocating any sort of memory in my head, space in my head for the exact numbers that you're supposed to be using, because I can't really be bothered with that right now in my life, and instead I can just look at the information up, having done it enough times in the past to be able to find it quick enough. But maybe I'll do that in tomorrow's episode or something. But I'm not seeing anything particularly fantastic here right now in terms of the price action for the bullish case scenario, unless we get a turnaround in this little zone that we're at right now. So I want to see the prices turn around in and around here, and if not, you know, we're coming in having set in a high here and a lower high here, or an equal high, you know, sorry, an equal high, or is it ever slightly higher? I'm always getting confused with this on the daily time frame. Yeah, we actually had a slightly higher high here. So I want to see this, and I'm trying to be able to sort of say, look, this was higher than this high, and this low is higher than this low. So going all the way down to the 100% retrace and having an equal low down here would be really, you know, you're really pushing the limits of this thing. But again, like I say, you're at the mercy of the Bitcoin prices. The volume is neither necessarily tapering off or picking up during this period. It's kind of more or less staying sideways overall. It is much less than it was in this general phase here than it was in this general phase here, but this was, you know, a much more bullish phase really than this one, because this one's in comparison to the previous phase before it, whereas this was in comparison to this one. So, you know, you could expect that in a sense. So looking back to how it was before, we're still kind of, generally speaking, like the liquidity in the market, the volume that's being traded on average has gone up during this phase here. There's more spikes here in terms of standard deviation breaks in terms of that sort of point of view, but, you know, that makes sense in terms of like the interest in the coin having picked up somewhat. But really, generally speaking, we're not doing too badly, and by too badly I mean too oh my god, that's too bad, Lee. Let's look at the dollar prices though, where things are a bit more interesting. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for sticking with it. Of course, you always know that you can skip around in the episodes yourself and whatever and choose the things that matter to you the most. Looking at this thing, we're right below the 21 EMA on the daily time frame. We're inside this thing, which is a descending broadening wedge so far, kind of, or else it's a downward channel, depending on how exactly you're drawn in. If you're just using wicks, for instance, and stuff like that, if you want to just use the bodies, I don't know, it is a little bit broadening, which gives you the sort of hope that it could turn around for positivity. We're still above all the major moving averages. I'll just stick them all back on here in this video, in fact. Yep, we're still above all the major moving averages, and as you can see, 21 here, 55 there, 144 there, 233 there in terms of the exponential moving averages, 50 simple there, 200 simple there in terms of the simple ones that I'm using at the minute, and you can see they're all fanned out in that sort of upward bullish formation in terms of their regimented in the correct order there. So like things are still kind of overall, fairly good, but we haven't managed to ever make it up into above that $3 line here, and up towards our targets, where we can start to look at in terms of the turning around this big old Fibonacci retracement, getting above $3.20 would be our first big sort of major successful accomplishment by the bulls in this market. Should we actually get some sort of breakout of this thing here, just as a general, having just a wee quick look at it, you could say that maybe it would take us up here and we could get above our previous highs and whatnot and be above that, actually up to the $3 area, and that makes sense in terms of where you'd next find resistance and potentially have a turnaround. If we could get up there, that would be decent. If we do break towards the downside, then you're looking down towards the $2 flat area. So in terms of this particular channel and its breakout from it, or wedge, or whatever you want to call it, but in terms of this particular price action right now, I think that we can say that when we're looking up towards $3 and we're looking down towards $2, that makes a lot of sense in and of itself, just sheer number wise. Right now, in terms of the micro, I want to see the prices move above 256 so that we can get to see us above this 236 Fibonacci retracement, which is drawn in here. And it doesn't make a difference if you drop body to body or wick to wick on this one, it still ends up in more or less the same place. That's what I'm looking for to become slightly more positive about it. Obviously, you'd be above the median line here in this sort of wedge channel effort, whatever, and above you'd be above the 21 EMA there also. So those are important things for us to look at. You can see over here we've got a bit more junk on the charts. That really what this boils down to, as we've spoken about for quite a while, is how are we going to handle this 258 area? Are we going to break above it and then therefore as a result of that go above our sugar? Yeah, go above the if we go above this 258 area, then we're back into this overall, whatever you want to call it, our chopsticks, and we're going towards the top side again, potentially looking towards things being a bit healthier. But hopefully you want to see the volume picking up, instead of decreasing here in general, like at some point breaking up above that in and around this area at the same time, and things could maybe start to get a bit bullish again on that front. But that's kind of the 258 area where the 21 EMA is on the daily time frame is all kind of what we're looking at in this for now. In terms of the downside price action, 235, 230s and all that is what we want to stay above. But with the increase in the Bitcoin price and the sort of ever slight tapering off of the dollar prices, we've seen this downward price movement. Let's just check in with our oscillators and see if they're divergent in some sort of a way. Now, I suppose if it was just arbitrage based off the back of the psychology behind this particular price action and what I'm kind of getting at, if it was just arbitrage really, which is when people look at the price on one thing and the price of some asset versus one asset on one exchange or whatever, and then trade somewhere else where there's a disparity between them, that's the arbitrage thing, and that's what kind of keeps all of the exchanges operating in around the same sort of prices, by the way, if you didn't know. That's kind of arbitrage bots doing it. And if that was the case and it was purely just kind of going down here off the back of that with a decrease in volume, as you can see here in the VPVR in that particular time, and a slight decrease in volume during these downward trend areas, then you'd also maybe as well, if you had a sort of if we just bring this up big and look at it, and you could say, look, should the RSI turn around right here, and I'll make this green because we're looking for, I'll just do it we'll just do it after, sorry, because we're looking to see here, could this potentially turn into a wee spot of bullish divergence on this thing? So like that at here between these two lows on the stochastics, could we maybe get a wee spot of the bullish divergence on this here as well. It certainly looks like it. I know, and on the MACD, could you have that just here at the very end here between these last two lows, and without it being sort of exactly having that momentum to go down the way, as we're kind of waiting to see how things work out with the other pricing versus the dollar, the dollar pricing versus the Bitcoin one. Could that be the case? And do we see divergence here on the dollar prices as this sort of downward trend is happening? No, we don't. We don't actually see that hidden divergence or sort of visible divergence. There's no divergence during this period here, so which is why we can kind of look towards these simpler targets, the horizontal lines, and say 260, stuff like that, moving above it. That would be good. Can we actually then maybe go up to the top here at 270? Will we break out and try the $3 area and all the rest of it? That would feed back over here, I think, with a degree of gusto, and we could get back into this area, setting in a higher low in terms of this time frame, with this being a marginally higher high and a higher low overall here, and do that well with a touch between this area here and this area here of hidden bullish divergence as well. If we were able to achieve all of that at once, which would be very nice to see. But of course, we could just then look towards these top areas, even a lower high and stuff like that in terms, and we'll cover that. We'll cover that in future episodes. Stay tuned, subscribe, all that crack. We could be looking towards a 786, for instance, then as an easy enough profit taking target at 3,500, and that sort of a thing thereafter. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next episode. By the way, if you've got friends out there you think might appreciate this, then let them know. Of course, they don't need to proactively be trading in Tezos. I think I try to, rather than try to tell you just straight up the recipes for success, I try to give lessons and show how you would be able to do this yourself. I hope that I demonstrate things, and that through latent learning, at the very least, you can pick up some of the skills that I'm trying to sort of deliver in these lessons. So regardless of whether or not you trade it, you might find it interesting to watch all the videos and whatnot. If you understand my accent and you think I'm friendly enough and interesting enough to watch, that you could learn in general from these things. And that's what I kind of hope for with why I do 4 videos daily. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Really appreciate it. Catch you next time. Let's see if we get above 258.